Welcome to another video here on Powerdojo. In today's video, we're going to have a look at how to add tabs in Power Apps. In order to create tabs, we're going to insert a blank horizontal gallery like this. Just stretch this out. Now we'll need a data source for this gallery. So either you can do that by selecting the data source on the properties pane on the right side, or you can change the items properties on the drop down menu on the top left over here. So let's add a table over here, or an array, whatever you want to call it, where we have 4 strings. Let's have text such as the 4 houses of Hogwarts from the Harry Potter franchise. So we'll add Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and finally Slytherin. Close the bracket. Now our gallery doesn't have any component in it, so let's add a button by inserting a button component like this. So now you see that the gallery is populated with the buttons. Now the text on the button, it just shows it's written button at the moment, but we can change that by selecting the text property, and instead of button we will change it to this item dot value. Now you see it has taken in the text from the data source that we just created. Now in order to change the spacing between these buttons, or what will be eventually the tab indexes, we'll just click on a button over here and we'll change the width properties, and we can change it to 250 like this, or you can go in the drop down menu over here, width instead of 250. What you can do is type in parent and take the template width, so it will take in the whole space of the template or the gallery. So just move it like this. And if you're not happy with the spacing that we still have between the buttons, so you can, by clicking on the gallery, change that. You can see over here the value is template padding. So if you're not happy with 5, you can say change it to 3. If it's too narrow, you can change it to 4. So we are happy with the width and the spacing between these buttons. Now what we'll do is just change the height of the buttons like this, or maybe change the font, in this case font size from 15 to, let's say, 30. All right, it's too big. Let's bring it down to 25. All right, we can also change the color of the button if you're not happy with it. So for instance, you can change the button from blue to, let's say, dark blue like this. All right, so we are happy with the tab button so far. So let's add a rectangle next like this. I'm going to stretch this right across our gallery like this. So these 4 buttons will now be our tabs to whatever is inside this rectangle. So I will just change the color of the rectangle to, let's say, something like yellow, too bright, maybe green like this. I will also change the color of the border of this rectangle. So click one more time on this. How about we keep the color of the same dark blue that we have for our tabs? So in order to find out what the color of these tabs is, you just click on one of the buttons, go over here, and in the custom tab, you will see the hexadecimal value of this color. So we'll take that, and now we'll be giving that color to the border of this rectangle. So we have clicked on the rectangle. Now we'll go on border color and change this to, so we say color value, we just paste the hexadecimal number that we copied like this. The border thickness is 2. If you want to change it to, let's say, 5, we can do that. All right, so there you go. Now what we're going to do is, for each individual tab, we're going to have a certain selection. So in order to do that, we're going to have a text input that we're going to put in the rectangle. Let's something like this. And we also add a text label, drag it over here. So as you remember in Harry Potter, how the sorting hat picks the student that will enter in a certain house. So let's put in something like student name Gryffindor. Let's say okay. Just expand this. We'll change the font. Let's say 25, make it bold, something like this. So every time the sorting hat selects a student for Gryffindor, his or her name will go over here. We'll just align this like this. Now what we can do is we'll just select both of these text as well as the label. We'll do Control C, Control V, and we'll drag this over here like this. One more time over here, and one more time like this. All right. So of course we will be changing the name from Gryffindor, student name Gryffindor, to Ravenclaw. Over here we'll be changing it to Hufflepuff, and the last one to Slytherin. You can always change the font size if you're not happy with it. Let's change it to 20, which is reasonable. All right, we're all set. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that the components for Gryffindor should be only be visible when we are in the Gryffindor tab. You know, it won't make sense that we have the Ravenclaw components for Gryffindor. So these components should be only be visible when we have clicked on the Gryffindor tab. So how you can do that is select these two components and go in the visible property. Over here we'll be referencing first of all the gallery. So we have gallery 4. So we're putting in selected dot value is equal to Gryffindor, which is our tab's name. All right. So now if we were to preview this app, we'll see that when I click on this, it's visible, whereas I click on Ravenclaw, it's not visible. We'll do something similar for Ravenclaw now. So just go in the visible property and copy this. We select these two components, change the visible property. This time around will be replacing Gryffindor by Ravenclaw. We'll do something similar for Hufflepuff. We click this, choose visible, we change it to Hufflepuff. Now just don't worry that these components have disappeared, because since we previewed the app, we clicked on the Gryffindor tab, so it's obvious that these 4 components have disappeared now. So we'll change the visible property for the final 2 components. We'll change it to Slytherin. All right. So now if you were to preview the app, click on Gryffindor, these 2 components are visible. Click on Ravenclaw, these 2 components are visible, Hufflepuff and Slytherin. So this is what we wanted with our tabs. Now there is one more thing I wanted to show you, that for instance when we go and preview the app, when we click on Slytherin, you see the tab color remains similar to the other 3. So we have to change the color when we have selected something, selected a tab. So what we'll do over here is when we have selected, let's say, the Gryffindor tab, it should invert the color from fill to the text. So the text should be in blue, whereas the fill should be in white. That's how we will identify that, okay, this tab is selected. So let's do that change. So what we'll do is over here is we'll click on this button, and first of all we'll copy this color value over here for our reference. We'll change the color property using an if condition. So we'll type in if this item is selected, put in the color value like this. All right, so we'll copy this if statement and use the same thing on fill, but we'll just invert the colors. So what was the second argument, we'll put it at third. So we'll just remove this comma, paste, and there we go. So as you can see now, since this Gryffindor tab has been selected, we can see it, the text color and the fill color has been inverted. So when we are Gryffindor, it shows these 2 components, Ravenclaw like this, Hufflepuff like this, and Slytherin like this. So that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this particular tutorial on tabs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.